3, 2, 1. Hi everybody, Mr. Higgins here, and welcome to Animating Your Art with Code Part 2, where we're going to talk a little bit about special effects and adding a background and finalizing your animation before we convert it into a GIF. Once you finish with getting all your basic animation rotation done, we can start to think about the design and the color a bit more. Think about what colors you used on your background, what your brand colors are. Can you incorporate those in any way? So what I want to do is show you some basic special effects, and then we'll change the background. You'll look at this code here and it should be pretty similar to what you saw in part 1, but there's been a little block here added. If you left click on the looks on the left side, scroll down to the bottom of the purple, there's going to be set color and change color. For now, what we want to do is bring in that set color effect. So this says set color effect to 0. That means there's no color effect at all. Right here, I've got some code running that says set it to 50 though. If I set it to 25 and I left click, you'll notice that the color changed. Now I can left click this to make that code run, but if I play normally, if I press play to run my app, it'll set it back to the original code that I have. That happens every time we run the program. So what this set color effect to is very similar. If we go to Pixlr and we go to adjustment, hue and saturation, it's pretty much like if I typed 50 here and the color changed. But instead of doing it manually, like we are doing in Pixlr, we can have Scratch, we've coded it, we've programmed it to do it for us every time the program starts. If we took change color and put it in our forever loop, what do you think will happen? It's going to start flashing. If you put it down to 1 though, it's going to start to slowly change that color. So if that's an effect that you want, you can consider doing that. So when I press play, I've set this color effect to 50. I'm gonna do is change color effect to 50 because I like the green yellow. Now that I've decided what color effect that I want to add to that layer, what I'm gonna do is add it to every other layer. So, because I don't want it on all of them, I just want it on a few. You could do this, you could do a 50, a negative 50, and a 0, or however many you want. When I want to change this 50, well, I can click over to another block, bring it in, and type it again. What's going to be the fastest way to move that special effects color code over is if we left click on it and we drag it and we can drop it on each sprite that we want it on. So now when I click over here, notice it'll be up top. I've already put this code in here, but you could drag and drop it in. You click over, you move it in. The color effect won't happen until that code is started when flag is clicked. I've also changed the speeds pretty dramatically, so you can see that the outside is going much faster than the inside. I think it's a much more interesting visual, right, when they're not all moving at the same speed. For the last part in part 2, once you've added that, I want to show you how to use special effects in loop, just like I did with that color. I'm going to click over to a different assignment. So here is a more advanced version of this project that I wanted to show you. So when it's running, notice that they have multiple special effects going at the same time. It's becoming transparent, similar to if I went into Pixlr and I moved it up and down. If I go back into Scratch, you'll notice that that same effect is happening over time. How that's happening right now is if you look at this code, I have when flag is clicked, which means when I run my app, set ghost, which means transparency, to effect to 0. So that means there's no ghosting at all. Then I'm going to do a forever loop, and I'm going to repeat 50 times, change ghost by 1, and then I'm going to repeat 50 times, change ghost by -1. So it's making it slowly go up from 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 50, and then count back down. So that's pretty much the exact same as going from here to here to here to here to here, but it's doing it forever instead. So that's an example of a special effect. If I go over to one of my other layers here, I have 2 special effects. I have a ghost and a fisheye. So what I could do is I'm going to turn off all these other layers here, so we can just see the ghost and the fisheye happening at the same time. So by itself, it looks pretty basic, but when you combine it with everything else, and especially when you have multiple layers ghosting on top of each other, it can become pretty cool looking. So these are different things to experiment. So you can use that forever loop, set your special effect, and then increase that special effect and decrease that special effect. We always want it to go back to its original state. So if you change a special effect, you've got to go back the same amount. The last thing that I want to show you is the backdrops and how to add a background. So how you do that is if you hover your mouse on the bottom right and you go to paint. Now I've added a couple here, so you can see what those look like. Those are with a gradient or with a solid color. How you do a gradient is you click convert to bitmap, and then you click on the fill icon. Now what we could do is, if you want a gradient, you can come up here and pick your 2 colors. Notice the gradient isn't as powerful as it is in Pixlr. There's only these 4 options. And then when you're ready, you just left click right in the center. And you've got a background. If you want to change it, you can't click again and again. You can only fill a gradient once. You'd have to hover down here, click the paint, and fill an empty one. So you need to convert it again. And if I wanted a solid color, say I wanted a yellow, I'll fill, and now I've got that background. Experiment with the special effects, experiment with the speed, and experiment with what your layers look like. You can even go back and create some new digital art to bring in if you don't like the way that your original ones from projects number 4 and 8 looked like. When you're ready, you've got your background, you've got your special effects, you've got your speed, and you're happy with the way your art is animating and what it looks like, then we're ready to move to project 10 and record this as a video and turn it into a GIF. See you there in a second. Bye.